First one will be video timestamps.
Yeah, that's cool. Have you guys even seen that in SERPs at all?
Yeah, no, but I feel like you and I had a really brief discussion about this a few vaults ago, but not anything in depth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that was one Chaz had missed where we had
probably
talked.
Vacationing.
Yeah, professional vacationer.
Yeah. I think he was at a conference, an SEO conference. We call those vacations.
I just lie. I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to SEO conference.
So then he always has a picture on a beach with his laptop. But yeah, that's a really cool development. And I think it stresses the importance of rich media. Like, we know the videos are important, but so often they become just kind of like a byproduct of an SEO campaign, where it's like part of the on-page SOP is to embed a video in the page because it's supposed to be like a good signal. And I don't really subscribe to that, but like we know that people love video consumption's at an all-time high. Something Chaz and I do in one of our agencies is part of an onboarding package is literally a videographer flies out, does professional video shoots. We get them uploaded. Like it's just smart. It's good branding for the agency. And now with of course YouTube's a really powerful search engine. It's not going to be probably the best platform for some local queries and local businesses.
Yeah.
But, having just the ability that Google has to be able to kind of parse through a vid, pull a timestamp out, and understand that that's relevant to a user's query should have everyone thinking a little bit more about their video strategy, I think.
I saw, when Mike showed this to me earlier, we actually went and looked at some really cool, so your timestamps, you can actually put topics or titles right next to them, and literally Google pulled out all these...
The title next to the timestamp in the video.
And all it was the timestamp inside the YouTube description. And we started talking about, man, you could really pack some relevancy in there. Like if you're trying to target like certain local keywords or something, it might make sense to literally start timestamping and putting keywords and target phrases in there, because Google is pulling those in and showing them in the organic SERPs, which is really cool.
It is, and that's another thing where for the longest time, people were creating just bullshit spun up videos and spamming the SERPs.
A little local video, yeah, slideshow with
just
the
complete,
phone number.
like, there's no way this thing's converted that great. Not to make, there's probably a ton of mad video guys right now. We got phone calls.
Yeah, they made phone calls.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they get calls, of course.
Those things were ugly. And then for the longest time, Google identified that spam tactic and was like, okay, guys,
they pulled back
now you don't get to play in organic anymore. So the ability to go in and have keyword rich, titles for those timestamps, and even other optimization opportunities to push relevance to that video for those different keywords that are in the timestamps and how Google will read that. I mean, honestly, this update just kind of pushes us to probably have at least 3 to 5 really solid tests we should be running. We should add those to the sheet because
I definitely want to test adding timestamps with keywords to see if it pops
and you guys should too. And I think sending other signals to the video as
definitely.
well, using the timestamp.
Well, that's something we talked about previously on the show when I was saying that adding timestamps. That was even before I found that today, that I was saying timestamps, subtitles are important. But I actually was doing research on other videos that pulled back segments like that, and they didn't have timestamps in the description. And the parts that Google was pulling out, there were some timestamps where it referenced something that was in the subtitles, like a category in the subtitles, but there were also a couple where it had the name on the screen in the video, but they didn't actually say. It's almost like they pulled it out of the video, or they were showing the video and it had like an image of something, like it had a lion, and they identified it was a lion, and they put that as what they pulled out.
That's what I meant when I first opened up. They have they're reading the timestamp thing's like a newer development that you just brought. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was under the impression they were either pulling from a transcription, which they can read, because that's how they do the auto copy.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
They know the different music. I mean, if we know that they have neural networks that are some of the most advanced on the planet, that are identifying music and who it belongs to and which copyright in video. And Facebook has the same thing. If you upload a video and you have music playing in the background, like your video can get ripped down really quickly, just because it picks up on that copyright. So the image thing's really interesting, but we also know that Google's privy to that, and they're always
they're
running.
actually really getting more advanced at their image recognition too, and be able to assign it back to specific entities and everything, where you'll literally have photos that are assigned to an entity. So hearing that maybe now they're pulling images from video, which would be the next step there, right? If technological achievement, I mean, that's really cool. That means you have to start thinking about, if you're going to do video marketing at all, that image might matter now. You might not need the video from Fiverr. You might need real images in there.
Have you guys seen the? It's a joke. It was, I think it started as a tweet, but I know you guys have probably seen this on Facebook or something, where they said they fed a machine learning model like 1,000 lawyer commercials.
Oh, and had it
1,000
write
hours.
Yeah.
And then it had the machine write the commercial. And the machine, and we're talking like, this is someone like you or I who could use like Google lets you use like a neural network to play around. It's someone like you or I feeding a certain topic into a machine and then having it write. And it was somewhat descriptive. I mean, it wasn't great, right? The commercial's funny. Like, it's funny what it wrote. It was like...
They had a Harry Potter one where it wrote like a Harry Potter sequel and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but it fed, the reason I bring it up is because the descriptors inside of what the machine spit out were like, it's like lawyer sits in front of big bookcase, right? So the machines are identifying the settings, the images, and it's like you said with entity association, a lot of times when we think about entities, or talk about entities, we're talking about businesses and the local ecosystem and stuff like that, or personas or people or things of that nature. But when you're thinking object-based identification and machine learning or neural networks, we're talking about being able to identify no one can see we have a giant clock on the wall, but we're like a vault, a warrior braid. Not a pony. Differentiating the two. But you know what I mean? It's being able to identify like a physically fit man right here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you know what I mean? It's being able to identify those objects that's really powerful.
It's building like a database on just like the entity and like a GMB, the CID URL, like that file on what that is. This
brings up, not to get too off base, but there was a question asked in the lab scientist group that I'm in, and the guy, they were talking about E and how powerful that is, like how close we are Google being able to identify fake personas. And someone shared, you guys know that site that uses AI to make fake people.
Yeah.
And then another person responded that they don't think Google's anywhere close to being able to determine if that's a real person or not. And like, I have to disagree that I think they're really close, because they can identify objects, and like you mentioned, depending on who the photo is of, like, I don't think necessarily they can say that photo was generated with AI. Like, that might be a stretch. But the idea of authorship and being able to assign a score or a level of value to a specific person in their database, like, that's not a new concept.
That's in their entity engine. That's that.
And that's not new, right?
They literally judge what they think the relationship is between whatever it is, and they can see, is this person this person? And they'll say, well, our trust on that is, they actually have trust scores in the entity engine, which is awesome.
And I think that the difference is, like, I'm not saying you could potentially get penalized by having an artificially, an AI created persona. But I think Google, it's not, I think they can do it. We know that they have the capabilities of doing it.
Facebook's doing it.
The argument is how much that's weighed in terms of when you publish content. So obviously, if we create an AI-based persona that's Dr. whatever, literally Dr. whatever, we can make it real, Dr. Schnitzenberg, right? And we we publish a physics paper. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson publishes a physics paper. Like, the argument isn't whether Google knows the difference between those two authors. Like, the one has a ton of attributed work in its index.
And he's related to a ton of other
authoritative entities in the physics space.
If you have one that isn't related to anything, there has to be something that says, you know what, why is this guy not related to any of these other guys that Neil Tyson, whoever he is, related to? So seriously, he's related to a college. He's related to.
Right. I mean, he had his own.
But they'll be able to associate a picture too with those.
Oh, no doubt.
That's the point.
They can identify him.
An AI-generated face they'll know that's the only reference of that
and then,
person.
So here's the argument isn't whether they have the capabilities to create weighted authorship. Like, they've had that for years. The argument is if that's taken
into consideration
from a ranking perspective.
Does it affect ranks or trust?
Exactly. So
I think from a local perspective, it does affect trust and possibly could affect your rankings locally. Entity is the big thing. Local, organic, I'm not sure. If it's a commercial keyword, maybe not so much, but if it's more of a real, what we would consider a person, place, or thing entity that has more info out there about it, I think that would play a part in it.
Makes sense.
But that's super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Just